Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, Mandarin, Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind, prison system, profiteers, foundations, fund the fears, fund the evil through the years, the world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guidestones it's written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Howard Nema, and you're watching Truth Talk News on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. I thank you all for joining me tonight. Really under the weather. Stayed home from work today. I'm probably not going to be going in tomorrow. Got a pretty bad upper respiratory infection. Wasn't really able to do Saturday's broadcast. At 7 in the morning, I got up and did a little intro and put together some pieces and broadcast that for the 5 o'clock live show on Project Freedom Radio and truthbroadcastnetwork.com. But I figured, it's just crazy. I've been sitting home, sipping my tea here, having chicken soup for like 3 days, my asthma inhaler. It's just, life is just beautiful. And I'm lying there watching the controlled mainstream media dribble, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. CNN, MSNBC, spewing their communist rhetoric. I can't even believe how people aren't aware of that. This communism that we're under, it is slow. It's a slow churning communism, and they actually, the people are just so mind controlled that they don't see that this is the case, and that it's been moving in this direction for the last 50 years, 60 years. I listened to Iraq's. Not Iraq. I'm sorry. Again, I'm a little under the weather. Like I said, I think I had a little fever too, but I'll be coherent. I'm a dinner jacket, or I'm a dinner jod. I like to call him I'm a dinner jacket. Talking to Charlie Rose, and he made some valid points about history and how history is perceived and what true history is. And I know that most Americans are just mind controlled and believe what they see on television and what they're told. But many things are true. The fact of the matter is that the government in Iraq, which was, of course, toppled, Saddam Hussein was toppled, and Iran had a horrific war for the better part of 20 years or 10, 15 years, whatever it was. And one keeps forgetting that the oligarchs in the United Nations, NATO, the Trilateral Commission, these folks are absolutely intent upon consolidating the world's resources, getting rid of all the borders technically, and bringing in a world government that oversees everything and keeps the peace of the world. And they honestly believe this is going to be a wonderful, beautiful thing. Those that are the cogs in the wheel. But when you really break it down and you get to the truth, the Shah of Iran, who was installed into power on Operation Ajax in 1953, was a tyrant and a dictator that the government supported, our government supported. And they supported all these dictators that ended up falling. And Ahmadinejad brought that fact to light. And I think the average American isn't even aware that we propped up, the CIA created the coup and set up the Shah of Iran for his dictatorship. And when there was the Islamic Revolution in 1979, again, they wanted it to go their way, the globalists' way, not the way of the people. See, revolutions don't go the way of the people, ladies and gentlemen. The people are having a revolution, but these oligarchs, the ones that believe they should be ruling the world, they want to impose their rule, impose their ideas, impose their sanctions, impose all of these things against the free state that was created. To have a dictatorship, overthrown and a democratic government put in place is a good thing. People in Iran do not live in huts. Their cities are beautiful, much like the United States. And their people are much like the American people. And they don't hate the Americans. I mean, there's just so much disinformation. And then there's the propaganda. I was watching propaganda all day, especially CNN. You get Lara Logan, drives me crazy. With her sitting with the Taliban, talking to a Taliban person. It reminds me of like when Peter Arnett was interviewed Osama bin Laden. The CIA, the whole world's looking for him, and a CNN news crew finds him in a cave. There's just so much deception. And the deception is rooted in bringing in a world government, a totalitarian world government where all aspects of human life are under these oligarchs' control. They want to watch your every move. They want to see what you're doing at every given time, every given moment. They wish to regulate all aspects of life. It's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. And the parties, again, as much as you would think that they're different and in opposition to one another, through this Hegelian dialectic, are actually working for the same cause, the same purpose, to basically destroy the sovereignty of the United States and enrich themselves in the process. These are not patriots. These are criminals that have for the better part of the last 100 years controlled the policies of our own State Department through the Council on Foreign Relations, which gets its orders from the Royal Institute of International Affairs. So it's just not a very clear picture to those that are unaware, and it does take a lot of work and research and understanding, and that's why I do this, to try to make it a little easier so you can get an idea of what's going on for folks out there that might be listening or watching for the first time and not knowing too much about the New World Order. And again, these broadcasts are archived on YouTube, Freedom First Films. Go to Freedom First Films on YouTube, and you can get all the archives and many films and other fair use instances. Speaking of fair use, over the weekend, Joel Gilbert, the director of a film called Obama, From My Real Father, or something from My Real Father, Dreams from My Real Father, was upset that I posted a fair use version of his film. And he told me it was copyright infringement. And you can only infringe a copyright, Joel, just so you can wake up to the reality, if you use it for profit. Using it for social justice and social discussion and things of the nature that I use in all of my sites that I am on, we use fair use. So there is no need, it is no copyright infringement. All that said to me, Mr. Gilbert, was that you're more interested in profits than getting this information out to the masses. So, that said, I did take the video down as he requested from YouTube, because YouTube has notoriously been attacking Freedom First Films webpage for the better part of the full 2 years that I've had the account. And incidentally, this is the first anniversary of my radio and the radio shows. It was October 1st, 2011, when I did my first broadcast on informedradio.com, and then it's morphed down and the road, and there's a lot of history on the last year. A lot of things happened, and I think I'll go into that maybe in the second half of the show. I want to look back at some of the events that have occurred. But most recently, yes, this Gilbert situation really steamed my onions, and a couple of people already posted on the video that I did post. I posted I made a screenshot of the message, so this is not hearsay. You can go to Freedom First Films and see it. And it's a 2-minute video, and I just described what a shill this person really is. And then, somehow, and I don't know how, unless Jim Russell's not being upfront and somehow there's some other alternative information that's been not given to me, how he got Jim Russell of We Are Change Connecticut's cell phone number to call him is sort of beyond my grasp of comprehension, unless they knew each other, or unless he's got connections like Timothy Patrick White, which isn't really too surprising if possible. I mean, it does. He could just be another one of the people that are in this COINTELPRO operation that the government supports, to not get the information out properly, to time it. I mean, I guess he must be trying to time this for something. What he's trying to time it for, I don't know, because this is the time where people have to reflect, like we're going to have the bullshit back and forth debate between these two puppets on Wednesday, Obama and Robomny. But it really reminds me of some of the other attacks. Like, I remember We Are Change Connecticut. Speaking of We Are Change Connecticut, I had set up a page, had over 5,000 people on YouTube. Interestingly enough, the day or so after I connected with Jim Russell, that page fell down too. Coincidence? I would certainly hope so. But these two facts that just occurred between Gilbert and that other occurrence, see, I have an elephant's memory. Sort of makes me wonder. Coincidences are very rare, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I forget who actually said it, but I think it was said is that there are no coincidences. Everything is planned. Be sure that when you think events that they are planned. So that wouldn't surprise me. But Jim is a good friend, and I trust him, and I believe in him. But it's awfully interesting. And then, of course, he was really trying to get me to take that video down and all of this, and he'd say he'd even come on. I'm talking about Jim. And then Jim mentioned that Joel Gilbert would like to go on my radio show and talk about this, and he'd give me a copy of the promo and all this. And, well, fuck you, Joel Gilbert. I have no interest in that. I have interest in getting the truth out, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting the truth out. So, yeah, my suspicions are raised on a lot of levels. Going back to what's occurred recently, with a lot of attacks, COINTELPRO attacks, that sort of began, I would have to say, began in earnest after the exposure of Anthony J. Hilder as a COINTELPRO shill, CIA asset, working with Alex Jones and Ted Gunderson and that whole crowd. on air back in February. And as soon as that happened, Timothy Patrick White came into my life telling me that he was a whistleblower, telling me that he had information about 9/11 and all this other nonsense. Then Barbara Hartwell came on, who, of course, has been stalked by Timothy Patrick White since 2001. And on the broadcast that happened, interestingly enough, we were hit with a weapon, a zapper, or whatever you want to call it, destroyed my $2,000 video camera, crashed my computer, disrupted the broadcast. This is a thing that happens a lot. It happened also when I had Janet Phelan on. It also happened when I had Dr. Carpenter, Dr. Antonella Carpenter on. Various breakups in the stream, problems with the transmission. Anyhow, it's been a long year. I go back to like what got me into doing this, and why did I do this? And I remember why. It was Obama that really. I can honestly say that Barack Hussein Obama is the reason why I started to scream about the New World Order. Because I'll be honest, I was in the earliest stages of my awareness. You see, I woke up in 2007, just about in October or so, or November of that year, and saw the film Freedom to Fascism, started my research into the Federal Reserve, finding out that everything that Aaron Russo put in that film is absolutely true. And then Sherry Jackson, of course, her traumatic experiences being locked up by this fascist dictatorship that really runs the show. I mean, we're voting for puppets, but these oligarchs are the ones that are running the show. The owners of the IRS, the owners of the Federal Reserve System. It's not our government, okay? It has nothing to do with our government. The Federal Reserve is a private corporation, as is the IRS. Interestingly enough, they are owned by the same people. So it could take a child could figure this out without much research. But as I say on every broadcast, don't believe every word I say, but listen to every word I say and research it and find your own truth, because there is only one truth, and that is the truth, the only truth. And there's a lot of truth to Obama's lies. And what I mean by that is I was actually caught up in the Obama mayhem. I wasn't like these crazy people. I'm not going to pay my mortgage and all this other nonsense these people said. But I believed that this, hey, this is country is a great country, that somebody can rise from a mixed family and came from nothing, born in Kenya. Oh, well, whatever. Wherever he was actually born, Hawaii, Kenya, wherever. And he made all of these promises. He said everything that I wanted to hear. He said everything that I wanted to have happen. It's almost as if he was reading my mind. So he said everything properly. However, after the inauguration, and things started to change, and he started to do everything opposite to what he said, not obeying Congress, disobeying the Constitution, actually committing treason. I started really, really, really digging into this and finding out who this guy was and what's behind it and how he was made from. And sure enough, his grandfather was CIA. And then I kept looking into the CIA and the Skull and Bones. It's all connected. And found the connections to the Bilderberg Group, the Club of Rome for the population reductions, and the United Nations, UN, and UNESCO. And I must admit, I probably spent a good year and a half while I was under the tyranny of this economy and was out of work, researching all of this. And I think many Americans woke up during this depression that we're in. Thank the Lord, I've been gainfully employed for the last 3 years or 2.5 years, but I lost my business and I couldn't get work for about 1.5 years. And in that time, I started to just ask questions. Why don't they ever speak about, they talk about these people, like Obama or Bush or whatever. And Bush, as evil and as bad as he was, is like a clone of Obama. Or Obama's a clone of Bush. I mean, Bush spent more money than any Republican before him. Obama spends more money than every president combined. Bails out banks. Now, these bankers are our problem. And I started looking at the banks. Again, it all started from my understanding of the Federal Reserve System. And they print this money out of thin air that they took at Bretton Woods. And then after Bretton Woods, they decided in 1971 to take us off the gold standard so they can have another Ponzi scheme so that it could operate. I mean, the fact that the central banks of Europe were all in place prior to the creation of the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve was a fraud to begin with. It's not ratified. It's unconstitutional. And then the income tax. You can't tax a man's labor. That's also unconstitutional. But we're not in a constitutional republic any longer. We're in an oligarchical scientific dictatorship known as the New World Order. And we are lapping up all the rhetoric and bullshit from both sides. So they keep us divided. If you're a union guy, you're going to be a Democrat. Okay? If you're a businessman, you're going to be a Republican. And meanwhile, they're spinning your head, disorienting you, bringing you into this unrealistic vision of the future. They speak about jobs, and they speak about closing up these loopholes for corporations. And ladies and gentlemen, the only way you're going to get change in this country is from a guy like Gary Johnson, who's running as a libertarian, and I'm a libertarian, and I'll be voting for Gary Johnson. We need to break out of this false left-right paradigm, this controlled paradigm that is destroying our nation. We need to vote once for a true patriot, a true American that will defend the Constitution, that will, by executive order, since these criminals, if they want to use executive orders, this is why I love Gary Johnson. The executive orders that he would write is to undo all the evil executive orders that have been put into place. Now, if you look back, now most folks, again, don't have the time to do this, or the research efforts, or they're not interested. They weren't watching, The Voice on television, or they're watching, football, and they're too busy working 2 jobs. They don't have time for this to make ends meet. But if you really research the truth, is that these executive orders, interestingly enough, in the last 40 years, every president is sort of like, it's like a tag team. They tag team the progression of the order's agenda, which is a one world government, which is here. It's really sort of here. They just have to lock it up with the proper event where they can crash the currencies of the world, come up with a new answer. The Hegelian dialectic, create the problem, offer the solution. And that's what they're going to be doing. Problem, reaction, solution. And it's happening. I mean, Greece, Portugal, Spain is... Europe is crumbling before our very eyes. And America, again, it's all about hope and change, hope and having that positive viewpoint. Let's be positive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an inevitable fact. Unfortunately, there's going to be a very, very big bubble that's going to burst. Worse than the Great Depression. And that's just not fear-mongering. That's just simple mathematics. Unless, of course, we actually get these criminals for who they are. Catch these criminals. I mean, let's get into how criminal these banks and our government is. Well, Wells Fargo and Wachovia got caught laundering CIA drug money. and to the tune of about $370 billion, and the government fined them. They didn't put them out of business. They didn't seize their assets like they do in your home. You've got a couple of pounds of marijuana, or you got a couple of ounces of cocaine, man, you're going to lose everything that you own. And they're going to lock you up for 25 years. But yet, they launder drug money and get slapped on the wrist with a $200 million fine. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, but that's nothing if you made $370 billion, or you laundered that. It's absolutely unbelievable that it's nationwide, it's worldwide, it's nationwide. In each nation, they have connections to the drug trade for hundreds of years. And the oligarchs are all behind this. Cecil Rhodes, it goes back to the Opium Wars. And the Skull and Bones is funded from the Russell Trust through the money that was gained through all of that Opium Wars. And then you find out that slavery, okay, and the people that were opposed to slavery and those that wanted it, then you find out that the people that wanted slavery, okay, were very heavily in the slave trade and making a big money on the slave trade. They were the eugenicists. They were the ones behind eugenics. That's right. The Huxleys, the going back to Darwin and his cousin, the other his name is escaping me, but they were not just slave owners, they were involved in the slave trade. They were slave merchants. Okay? And the whole eugenics movement built out of that, and again, they had to try to be politically correct. So now the eugenics movement calls itself Planned Parenthood. And part of it is also involved in the sterilization of the food supply with the GMO foods. Again, if you just get into any of the Club of Rome documents, and just study the Club of Rome, Aurelio Passet and Alexander King, and the people that are involved in this whole idea about there's too many people on the world, and we have to do something about population problems. And meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, they're saying we have to feed the people in Africa, the starving in Africa. And they have no intention of feeding these people. They'll take all your money to feed the children, save the children, Christian Children's Fund. It's all lies. It's all lies. It doesn't exist. It's not real. Religions are all controlled. Unfortunately, the Rockefeller Council of Churches, people don't understand this, but it is absolutely true. Look into the Council of Churches and then the World Council of Churches. All of these churches have been infiltrated and are putting into place Agenda 21. United Nations Agenda 21. We are enslaved by this system. And those that were affected and had the time to look back, like myself, by the grace of God, I still own my home. I still have 2 cars. I have a job, and my family's able to, I put food on the table, and I'm able to make a living. But the fact of the matter is that many people aren't. Millions aren't. And that's the problem. They're using these people who are hurt in the worst way as their pawns, this is their agenda. We have to help the people. Get the jobs and all this. Meanwhile, all the loopholes that they're going to say they're going to cut are not going to get cut. It's going to be business as usual. And just take it and like it. And this is where we're heading. It's a diabolical truth. The New World Order is intent on depopulating most of the planet, 80% at least, and conserving everything like the Earth Summit, everything through this world government to have controls over all aspects of human life. Now, in the second half, I'm going to go over the history of the show, the last year that we've been doing this, and then I want to go into my John Birch Society. I'm a John Birch Society supporter, jbs.org. I'm a member, and I'm going to read from their monthly newsletter. Some important things about the New World Order and about the wars, and it's incredibly information, so please stick around. Again, I'm Howard Nema, and you're watching Truth Talk News on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, folks, I'm Howard Nema, Truth Talk News on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. And there is reason for alarm, ladies and gentlemen. We certainly have reason for alarm. War, endless war, military kinetic actions, whatever you want to call it. People losing their homes, people losing their jobs still. An economy that is looking global. Everything in the world is, let's be global. It's a global world. It's a global world. That's the biggest fraud. I mean, let's be realistic. If every American really could actually be an American and refuse to buy these globalist products from these corporations that make their products in China, because they make their products in China or Indonesia or Malaysia or wherever, then you just might find yourself buying American products, and that they wouldn't be able to compete. But no. My father was a Democrat. He was a union officer for the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. He worked for the union for 50 years. He's a general manager and vice president. And again, compartmentalized about these things. And the one thing that rings true 100% and cannot be disputed, that they were right about, and he was right about, and the union was right about, was that imports were going to destroy our country. And the garment industry is destroyed in America. It's a shred of what it was. The ILGWU became Unite, and it merged with SEIU, and they stole in all of that. And then this criminal activity, they stole all the money. These the corporations, the banks, the Amalgamated Bank, all this really fraudulent stuff that went on, really bad New World Order stuff. I mean, unbelievable. These Bilderberg, Chick Chaikin. You had, actually, it wasn't Chick Chaikin that was on Bilderberg. It was, oh my God, Jay Mazer, Bilderberg member, president of the ILGWU, after my father retired in 1985. And he attended Bilderberg's and was complicit, and obviously in the deindustrialization, because certainly going to Bilderberg isn't going to be helping America. And this is what they're doing. And then they're taking away the powers of the unions. And again, you know, it's like people that listen to me, they say, "What is that? I think he's a Republican," and then they say, "Wait a minute, he's a Democrat. What? He's a Republican?" No, I'm an American. And unions have their place. Fair wages has its place. A fair wage would require no union if wages were fair, but of course that doesn't occur. Now, you can't put regulations on wages. You can't put all these other things. It bankrupts companies. You can't tell somebody you're going to pay him $25 an hour, even though you can't afford to pay him $25 an hour, because you go out of business. So the unions have worked in cahoots with the New World Order, with the oligarch bankers and all these people, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, okay? And the minions that work under them, and they've done this intentionally. Look at the goddamn auto industry. Look at the fucking auto industry. Government Motors. We still own Government Motors. Ford, as much as I hate Ford and their New Worlders, of course, the Ford Foundation is all complicit in the eugenics and all this other stuff. When it comes to the Nazis, it's unbelievable. If you look into the truth and find the truth, don't listen to what these assholes tell you on CNN. I was so angry today watching CNN, watching these liars. And then the worst thing, on MSNBC or CNN, it doesn't even matter which one it was, Fox too, they're all controlled. They're saying this debate, it doesn't matter about the content. It matters how good they look. Because that's true. That's the truth. I got to lower my mic. I'm peeking. That's the truth, though. It's unbelievable. The people care about, you know, how you come off, how you look, not about the policies. I would have a schmedrick that doesn't know how to even, you know, speak, but if he does the right thing and is a good organizer or control, and he knows how to dictate. Bad word. He knows how to manage, and somebody that has I don't care what he looks like, but they've controlled us that you got to look the part. You got to look presidential. Doesn't matter if you're bringing the country driving it to the ground. It doesn't matter. You got to look presidential. You got to look the part. Again, it's just unbelievable. And the unions, look at the unions. Do you know that $10,000 out of every General Motors car that is produced goes to paying legacy payments for retirees and retiree benefits? Their unions were so good negotiating these great, wonderful things that they bankrupt the companies that they work for, and then they go to the government to bail them out with our tax dollars, so you union people can get paid more than the private sector. And I'm telling you, my father was union, and there is a good, there is a place for unions, but not the greed, this unbelievable greed. Just look how disproportionate our world is. The teachers get paid peanuts. Cops get paid more than teachers. Okay, maybe they should both be paid the same at least. I just, it just astounds me. We put our children to teach them so that they're, become something. As the education gap widens and widens. Here in Connecticut, it's sickening because I really hate Chris Murphy. He's a scum. And he's running against Linda McMahon, lying about her, all these lies. And it's just a terrible campaign. And this guy has the audacity, he's a government person. That's it. He's a career politician. All this stuff. You got low interest loans, just like Chris Dodd. These are criminals. So then the point is, it's really sickening, is that that he's attacking Linda McMahon because she wants to abolish the Department of Education. Well, wake up, America! So that sounds bad. So what that told me when I saw that today, because I never really watched TV, and today I watched TV, I was sick, and I can't believe it. I'm freaking screaming at it. My God, how can they be putting ads saying that? And all of 3 or 4 points, bullet points. That was a bullet point. Again, these bullet points, what do you mean? She wants to, well, that's a good thing, Chris, you asshole. We don't need the Department of Education. We don't need Pell Grants. We don't need all this crap. It's not opening the door to everyone else. It's putting them into debt, into jobs that they're never going to be able to have because they can't. They're studying curriculums. They give you these ridiculous curriculums. So many different ideas that you can go to college and take so many different things, but only a small percentage of them pay. So why do we need all that nonsense? Because that's the way they want it. Because they know people can say, listen, you can become a geologist. Well, actually, there is work for that. But you can become, oh my God, horticulture. I guess you could, become a gardener, but it's not like you don't need to go to college and spend $100,000 to learn how to plant a flower. It sickens me. I look back at the education system, and it's so absolutely, it is an indoctrination system. It is not an education system. I don't know. Well, I am really under the weather, and maybe all this hasn't helped my blood pressure either, but give me a second to get myself back here. I just sort of feel like crap. Anyway, so the John Birch Society. Hal Shurtleff is the regional director in New England, or this lower New England, or maybe it's all of New England, I think, actually. And he's just an excellent worker, friend of mine. And I support the John Birch Society, and everyone should become a member who wants to fight the New World Order. This month in the newsletter that I get on a monthly basis, the October newsletter, I'm just going to go into a couple of little things I thought was important. Yeah, Stop the New World Order and Agenda 21. I have just enough time to go over this, I think, before the end of the broadcast. And I'll be back, hopefully feeling a lot better tomorrow night, 9 p.m. And again, Truth Talk News is on 9 p.m. every night. It's being broadcast live Monday through Thursday on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. And I haven't given any thanks out here yet, and I should just take a moment to give thanks to everybody that helps get this information out. Pam Suggs at UnitedTruthSeekers.com, Roger Landry for the tireless work he does at We the People Network, Rob DeMarco, Lynn Nichols, all those cats. Of course, Harry Link at TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. We had a couple of hack attacks ourselves and some spamming issues that had to be dealt with. And thank you, Harry, for all you do to get that handled. We were getting sports stuff and all these crazy things and all these zit cream remedies and really weird stuff, just bizarre things. Again, these COINTELPRO, that's what you get when you have open, when we were trying to let it be open and free so anyone could become a register and put your posts up there, any information you want to share because you want to get good information out. Well, now we have to limit that with the registration. It needs like a sign-in or something. I don't know how he's going to actually handle it, but it'll get itself worked out. Yeah, I just couldn't believe watching television today. I just couldn't believe it. That they're actually saying, well, it doesn't matter about the content. It's really how good they do their performance and how it really has to shine. It doesn't really matter. Oh, my God. And this other one that I hate the most, Piers Morgan, whatever it is. Oh, my God. What a globalist shill that motherfucker is. I would love to I would give money. I would give money to just sit there like he had. It's interesting. I saw Jesse Ventura, and it was great. Now, Jesse is an enigma to me sometimes, because there's just, I don't know what to believe in this world we're in, ladies and gentlemen. The things that I do know that are facts, I express. Facts like Alex Jones is the one that's really behind the Jesse Ventura conspiracy theory show. He was the guiding force, depending upon, doesn't matter what anyone wrote, who's producing it or anything else. And I know that for a fact because of my good friends Len Horowitz and Sherry Kane, who were on his show, on the conspiracy theory show, and got that right out there and found out some other really disdainful information. And again, I was very hurt to find that Alex Jones is not all that he appears to be either. So I don't know, it seems as though anybody that's in a celebrity spotlight type situation, anyone that's sort of put in the light for the truth movement, they're co-opted, they're COINTELPRO, or they're limited by threats. And that's what I pray it is with Alex. I have a good friend of mine from Las Vegas, my friend Benny, who's actually at my wedding 22 years ago. And we're still good friends. And, we talk about Alex all the time. And I just hope that it is something like that. He's got limits and he can't do certain things because maybe he's been threatened or his family's been threatened. But if you look at the research and everything else, there was threats going on. There was these COINTELPRO operations going on before he was married and had children. So I'm not here to talk about Alex Jones, and he has been giving good information, I got to tell you, but it's controlled and it's fear-mongering. I'll never forget that the Millennium broadcast, where saying that there was bombs at nuclear power plants and all of this fear-mongering War of the Worlds type stuff, PSYOP going on, to frenzy the people into like some sort of an action. So you got to wonder with Alex Jones. But like I say, don't listen to anything that I say. Find your own truth. There is only one truth, and that is the truth, and you have to discover it. And don't curse me and call me, oh, you know, whatever. Don't be doing that, because I'm not cursing Alex Jones. I just don't think that he's on the level. And I have to admit that he's a big part of the reason why I woke up. I was a big supporter of Alex Jones until I found out that I shouldn't have been. I used to have an Infowars.com thing right over here on the wall, and I removed it. And I know that when it first happened, that I lost a lot of viewers, and a lot of people on Informed Radio really bitched at me for talking about Alex Jones. But I think now more people are understanding that. Not the ones that are new. Like, he attracts new listeners. They're going to be his little lapdogs. They're going to lap it all up like I did until they find their own truth and then understand what's really going on. It is a COINTELPRO operation. There's no doubt about it from the beginning. I mean, again, I'm talking like with my friend Vinny. You know, he's really just doesn't want to believe Alex Jones isn't who he says he is. But the entire operation was set up from the very beginning in 1995 as a COINTELPRO operation. So, you know, that's what it is. And Ted Gunderson, who was a good friend and co-worker of Barbara Hartwell, who was one of my closest friends, gave me an awful lot of information on this. And more of this information will come out as things we go along in time. And I want to give a shout out to Barbara Hartwell, and anyone that's listening. You check out Barbara Hartwell's blog, and she's in a desperately difficult situation and could use some assistance. There's if anybody could be generous for a patriot, she could use your help. I don't know. It's just a digression there. I digressed, and I'm sorry. I try not to do that. But it really is important, because I know a lot of people get information, their truth information, from Alex Jones. And some of the information is 100% accurate. In fact, I would say it's in the 90 percentile. But the disinformation destroys all the credibility of Alex Jones to me. And the fact that you have people like Jesse Ventura going on a show and having it out with Pierce Morgan about 9/11, and they just really didn't go at it. I mean, it looked like they went at it, but the really tough questions weren't asked, and the really tough answers or tough information, like, you know, Al-Qaeda was created by Zbigniew Brzezinski in 1979 to fight the Soviets. And that gets into this whole thing with the John Birch Society. This article really has a part on that touches on that when you're talking about where is it? Stopping the New World Order. The United Nations already operates with an array of subsidiary organizations, conventions, commissions, and institutes that seek to govern a growing total of every area of human activity. There is, for instance, UNESCO for education, UNICEF for children, UNIFEM for women, World Health Organization, WHO, for health, FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, for human sustenance, etc. And these UN subdivisions, as we have just listed, do not include UN banking institutions, military operations, trade organizations, and other branches of ever-growing accumulation of power by the World Organization. Not satisfied with the clout it already has, the UN is now seeking ratification of a convention on the rights of persons with disabilities. I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's Agenda 21 being put into place, labeled another piece of global mischief by veteran UN scrutinizer Phyllis Schlafly. The CRPD, which is the Convention on the Rights for Persons with Disabilities, which is actually a treaty that will require 2/3 approval by the Senate, has already been ratified by 117 of the 193 UN nations. She considers as bizarre any assertion that the UN can provide more benefits or protections for persons with disabilities than the US. And I agree. It's just for control. It's just for control. I mean, the whole thing with the war, again, Zbigniew Brzezinski, he was the one that was tasked from the Council on Foreign Relations with creating opposition to the Soviets in Afghanistan and created Al-Qaeda. who trains the Taliban. Today, again, watching the shillish television, watching Lara Logan with this dangerous Taliban person. Unbelievable. And then on the daytime morning news, some singer I never even knew who she was. She went to Pakistan, and someone said that after the show, he was so moved by her talking because everybody hates America. That's what she was telling in Pakistan. And there's a lot of American hatred not because of a movie, ladies and gentlemen. It's because of our policies through the Council on Foreign Relations and the United Nations, which is really making this whole problem worse. It's an inflammatory situation. Again, I don't know what happened with this film that caused all this uproar. I don't know. I know the backers were Jewish. They were Jewish investors, but a lot of people in Hollywood, they're Jewish. That doesn't mean that they're all bad people. It's just, it's such a difficult thing. Just realize that we're being lied to in a major, major way, ladies and gentlemen. And the world is not as it appears. I'm Howard Nema. I'll see you tomorrow night. God bless you. Death to the New World Order. We have Harry Link coming on right now.